there people, it's Codisy here, and today I want to talk a bit about one of the best FPS games I've ever played that many people just haven't played yet and that really deserves some more attention. But first a word from our sponsor, NordVPN. NordVPN is, as most of you might already know, not a VPN at all. And this video is not sponsored because this channel has like 2 subs. So if you haven't smashed the subscribe button, do that, because it would really make my day. Like, it would really make my day. But now, let's start with the video. Before we can really talk about the game itself, we need to look at its backstory. Respawn Entertainment used to work at Activision Blizzard and worked on some of the old Call of Duty games. Then they had a divorce with Activision and started working on Titanfall 1, a game that commercially was enough of a success to spawn a sequel. The game that this video is about, Titanfall 2. A game that was so perfect that literally anyone played it. Like, literally anyone found it the best game ever. Now, how is it like to play Titanfall 2? Well, basically it's a glorified movement shooter that really makes you feel like the most goaty super soldier that destroys anyone. The Titan, 20-ton killing machine, really solidifies this, as you can completely crush every soldier. The soldiers in this game are called pilots. In this game you can wall run, slide hop, you can take a green syringe and completely fly across the map, you can cosplay as Spider-Man, and much more. So now that we've talked about how it is like to play Titanfall 2, let's look at what abilities and titans there are. First, there's Grapple, which basically makes you Spider-Man. Then there's Stim, which makes you basically Flash. Then there's Copilot, that it basically does nothing for you except creating clones of yourself that don't really do much. Also, there's AWOL that gives you free cover. Then there's Pulse Blade, which is basically legal wall hacks. Also, there's Phase Shift, which just basically makes you invincible for a few seconds. And there's also Cloak, which makes you invisible for a few seconds. Not to confuse that with Phase Shift, which makes you invincible. So that's the abilities in a nutshell. Now, what are the Titans like? Well, there's North Star, a flying sniper. There's Monarch, a Titan that slowly gets upgrades as he gets kills. There's Papa Scorch, that is flames, basically. There's Iron, which is kind of a standard choice but has an energy resource that he has to manage. There's Legion, which is basically a big minigun. There's Ronin, he has a sword. And there's Tone, that shoots missiles and is generic and boring, basically. Sadly, Respawn Entertainment didn't really care about the game too much, and after the first 3 updates, they didn't return to it. The first 3 updates were actually pretty good, and there was even a new Titan. But after those updates, the game lost a lot of players. I mean, what are you gonna do with a game that doesn't change like at all, and that has like super overpowered weapons like the Spitfire? You think it really can't get worse, right? Because I asked this question, you aren't thinking that anymore. But anyway, things can get worse because a guy named John Yu hated the game so much. Like, he really hated it. Why did he hate the game so much? No one exactly knows, but apparently he was just bad at the game and maybe also received some trolling by the community or something, which leads into the most important part of why Titanfall 2 failed. The DDoSing. John Yu hated the game so much, he wanted to destroy Titanfall 1 and 2. This incredible hatred formed into a lot of dedication to achieve his goal of complete and utter destruction of the entire Titanfall community. He completely ran over the servers of Titanfall. Like, they were completely wiped if they were a hard drive. And in the case of the first game, they didn't work at all. In the case of the second game, luckily they worked for almost everyone, except the few content creators that like playing this game the most dedicated of all Titanfall communities, and basically the image of the entire Titanfall community. They can't play in a blacklist-like manner. This would go on for a few months, and a lot of people from the community thought the game was completely dead. A long time after the DDoSing started and the suffering of the Titanfall 2 community, Respawn community manager announced that Titanfall 3 was not in the making. And to not get your hopes up. The actual quote is, "Don't get your hopes up, man. We have just too many other projects." So the Titanfall 2 community and also the community from the first game, which was basically non-existent at the time, was completely mentally crushed. As a little pause from the sad segments, why did Titanfall 2 fail? Well, Titanfall 2 didn't really do well commercially because the general public doesn't want anything too different. That's why Call of Duty and FIFA can just copy the same game every single year and still be the most commercially successful on the market. The release window of the game also didn't make it much better, since it was released between Battlefield and Call of Duty, two of the most beloved shooter franchises to ever exist, and as if that wasn't enough, Doom Eternal was also returning to the spotlight. So the game really didn't have many players. This is a quote from a video from a Titanfall 2 player, and honestly, he's completely right. There's a good ending to this story though, because it was at this point that a user with the name Bob the Bob started to develop a custom client for Titanfall 2. Trust me, this will be very important later. While this developing was going on, the community caused each other and turned against itself. It almost turned into a community civil war, and basically some people were saying P0358, a guy who developed a project named TFO, which stands for Titanfall Online. This also will be important later. Some accused Red Shield, Dogecore and others, which were the leaders of the Remnant Fleet Discord, and everyone was accusing the others. There were even some documents made to compile evidence against one another. Also at the same time, there was a complete remake from scratch of Titanfall 2 being made, and is still in the making, Project Vanguard. Basically, community made Titanfall 3. And as always, Respawn didn't give a shit. This was also the time I joined Titanfall 2. Luckily, at the time I joined, there was no DDoSing. It just stopped at this time. No one knows if Respawn fixed the issue or the DDoS would just stop with the DDoSing, but unlike many people in the Titanfall 2 community thought, this was only a short 2 months pause and soon it started again. But because of what I'm gonna explain in the next section, no one really cared. The DDoSing started again and everyone was sad. North Star client finished development, and everyone could play in custom servers hosted by the community. Also, TFO and Project Vanguard are in development, and could you please just shut up phone? Anyway, they're in development and sometime in the future they'll be out. The player base is going up and more people are discovering Titanfall 2. And with this video, you've discovered it too. So hopefully you're gonna become a member of the community and start playing Titanfall, because we really need the new players. Anyway, that's it with the video, and bye.